I have a lot more female friends than I actually do male friends currently. And that is just kind of just happened that way that I would have more female friends than male friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. I get a little bit more from my female relationships, all platonic, by the way, all platonic. I get a little bit more from my female relationships. I've talked about this in the past because the conversations tend to have a little bit more substance. Some of my male friends that I have, the conversations revolve around similar things, right? Women, music, sports. And don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of all three of those things. But sometimes I want to talk about it a little bit more. Sometimes I want to talk about politics. Sometimes I want to talk about social issues. Sometimes I want to talk about the world at large. And men, generally speaking, tend to not want to engage in those type of conversations, and I think it has a lot to do with men's mental health. We typically carry the weight of the world on our shoulders, and we want to escape that stuff. So why would we want to talk about something that's real all the time when we're dealing with real stuff all the time? More to my larger point, I have a lot of friendships with females, and those friendships give me insight into the female psyche, specifically when it's talking about dating. And I had drinks with a friend of mine that I've known for over 5 years, and she was telling me how disillusioned she was in dating and men out there. And I'm trying to get a little bit of information, like, okay, tell me what it's like. And I will say, generally speaking, a lot of men out here are straight trash. Women are too. A lot of people out here are straight trash. And as she's speaking to me more and more, she's telling me the interactions that she's having with these men. And it tends to be like people cancel plans at the last. People just aren't really considerate, or they're really kind of like wrapped up in themselves. And to me, it just speaks to a larger issue of how we are more locked in ourselves than I believe previous generations. The advent of the selfie and Instagram and Facebook and putting yourself out there to get gratification from people liking or saying that you look good or comment on a post or a picture. These things weren't really happening until MySpace came out, and that didn't really come out and for me until college. So you're talking about the early 2000s, right? No, it's mid 2000s. So I think now, because of technology, people tend to be a little bit more self-absorbed. Another thing is we have more options, right? Like, this is different than what it was back in the day, where you only really knew new people when you moved someplace else or you lived someplace else, like when you went away to college. If you didn't go away to college or the armed forces, right? If you didn't go away where you're experiencing people from different backgrounds that are not from where you were raised, then the only thing that you know is what you were raised with. And those people, the dating pool was a lot smaller back in the day. The advent of technology and dating sites have now opened it up to where you could only, back in the day, date somebody that was either in your city or maybe the neighboring city. Now you can literally date somebody in another country and you can kind of make it work. It wouldn't work for me, but you can kind of make it work. It's kind of like, have you ever noticed how it's really difficult to find a movie that you want to watch nowadays? For my Gen Xers and millennials, Gen Z probably won't remember this because I don't know if you guys really remember Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, but you would go into the video store, and I've talked about this before. You would go into the video store, you kind of have an idea of what you wanted to get. If you did not already know specifically the movie that you wanted, you would have an idea of what you kind of wanted to watch. You would go in there, you would head to that section because there would be specific sections where there was sci-fi, it was horror, it was comedy, it was drama. You would go to that specific section, you would scroll through the movies and you would pick it out. Maybe you might be at Blockbuster at the most for an hour. You didn't spend hours at Blockbuster. Nowadays, with so much access to movies and television shows, we could sit there and literally scroll on something. If we don't have something pinpointed of exactly what we want to watch, we will scroll for hours. I did it yesterday. I just was scrolling, trying to find something to watch. And I just gave up and just went on my phone because there's instant stuff that I can watch on my phone that'll pique my interest constantly, as opposed to trying to sit down and watch long form storytelling in a television show or a movie. Dating has kind of become like that. People have so much access to so many other different type of people and a wide variety of people that you can't focus in on one person. It becomes very challenging to focus in on one person. And that's what it is. That's what dating is now. People aren't focusing in on one person because they have so many different options and so many different choices. And God forbid if you're a good looking person or have a great personality, you really have a lot of options out there. So dating is tough. Dating really sucks. My suggestion to her was get off the dating sites, because you could be on the dating sites all day long, every day, going on a bunch of 51st dates and never really meet anybody. The best way to, I think, to meet people is still the old fashioned way. Go out. I think the best form of marketing is still word of mouth. Word of mouth has changed. It used to just be, you tell your neighbor, your coworker, or something like that. Word of mouth is now Instagram and Facebook, but the basic principles of marketing and getting information out there, as far as getting attention, is still word of mouth. So the best way to date is still just going out and meeting people in social situations. That'll tell you if you're compatible or not. And it gets past all 50, that 50 questions, first date nonsense. So what do you do? Who are you? How many people are in your family? You have any siblings? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to college? And that's a big thing in this area, in the DC area, is where you went to college and what do you do for a living? So my suggestion for people out there who become disillusioned with dating, and there's a lot of them who have just given up. Hell, I'm kind of one of them, that have just given up on dating because it is so challenging to try and find somebody that you're compatible with. Don't. Get out the house. Go outside. I know it's hot as hell out there right now, but go outside. Go with your friends. Go to a bar. Go to a restaurant. Go to a park. Go to a museum. Go where people are gathered and go and meet people the old-fashioned way. Hell, you might find your future husband or wife. You might find your future partner just by stepping outside every once in a while. If you like that clip, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to catch up on all of our latest content. Don't forget to hit the notifications button when you do subscribe so you can get updated every time we release content. We release content every day, whether it's an actual show or clips from the shows. So go ahead and subscribe, like, comment. Also, don't forget our Patreon page where you can find our Talking Straight-ish and After Hours Uncensored episodes. That's patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. But once again, thank you again for listening to Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, and I'm going to catch you next time. I'll holla.